for the children, the school bus. He works for Maui. The Maoris and Fishers. They hate the winters. It is the most Hatfield and cool. So this is one. Is standing next to the guy. There's only one polling place. And handing out, he just stood there. And they were handing out things. Hey, you want to vote for the winter? Whatever. And you want change, vote. So literally, it's just not bad.
John, good time to jump in, you mate. Yeah.
And it was
Still combating. All right, good.
Like I said, could I ask? And he returned to the candidate and said, so what exactly do you want to change? We need to make changes.
Yeah, that way.
Well,
they
Good morning, Eileen.
Good morning.
together better.
Jason, you're
It was just
Hi, Jason. Solicitor?
very strange.
David Chen, yes, good morning.
It was, we gotta get somebody, anybody, other than Tom. So now I'm thinking, I'm ready to go nuclear. I'm thinking I'm gonna do the exact opposite. I'm like, to a right end against the right end. But that's November, that's a long way off. A lot can happen between now and then. And the government, nobody gets on the ballot, everybody's writing. And their whole borough council's getting sued. And it's I enjoy trying to stay above the fray.
I moved it up, didn't it go far enough yet?
Oh, I don't know.
Good morning, everybody.
Did you get the stuff in the chair?
This?
You have to get it when it's in the camera.
We're still kind of sort of.
What's up, Matt? Morning. Hi, Brady.
Yeah, there's a lot of people I saw.
You want to read the proclamation? For the jury.
That's all.
Yeah, give over.
I know. I keep forgetting that.
I'm doing your paperwork this morning. I sent you that email. Yeah, it's early before it gets better.
Yeah. My phone's not working. It's like one thing I heard. It's like my Monday. I get on, it keeps going beep, beeps. I called Leslie. She's like, yeah, I said you're offline.
I saw
I'm like,
it up there last week.
yeah, can you fix that?
Okay. Okay. Ready?
As far as the attendance goes, it's very, no, I don't think so either. That's still, I guess, finding Israel is trying to.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. I ask you to please rise for the opening prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance. Dear gracious God, we begin a new month with you at our sides. We ask you for guidance in our daily lives, to Today we recognize and appreciate the thousands that are called for jury duty. In Proverbs, you tell us, when justice is done, it is a joy to the righteous, but terror to the evildoers. We are thankful we have a system to allow us to have a free society where rules and laws provide structure, not chaos. Lord, this coming Sunday, June 6th, will remember those in the greatest generation that stormed the beaches of Normandy 77 years ago for freedom. Only a few of those brave souls remain with their children and grandchildren among us. We will never forget them and always honor those brave souls. Now we ask you to guide our meeting today and provide us the wisdom, insight, knowledge to make sound decisions. May our decisions always be in line with your will and pleasing to you. We humbly pray these things in your name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll convene the Commissioners' public meeting at this time and ask for the approval of the minutes of the previous meeting.
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So carried. This time we'll have public comment on agenda items only. Morning. Can you state your name for the record, please?
I ask indulgence a little bit.
Yes.
My name is John Sharman, Jersey Shore, Pennsylvania. This concerns recycling, which is part of the county landfill and that. Thursday, I was to the recycling center in Jersey Shore. The container for taking plastic and cans was full. I went again yesterday. It was full, jammed. You need more recycling containers for plastic in Jersey Shore. I can show you pictures from yesterday. People had some of the stuff overstuffed in it, and what if you don't do something, you're going to get people leaving recycling there, sitting in bags outside of the containers, which it has yesterday. The last 3 or 4 times I've been there, that bin has been full, and I've had to take my recycling or else put it in the garbage. And I'm requesting that the county commissioners act upon putting more containers up there because you've got the whole community of Jersey Shore. I was there yesterday. I did sort through, put my papers and stuff in, but I had at least 5 people pull in with bags full of recycling for plastic and no place to put it.
How many bins they have up there, John?
One.
Just one?
Would you like to see the picture?
I'll look at it after the meeting.
Well, I don't have time. I'm pressed this
Okay.
morning.
All right.
But I got 5 pictures here I could bring up real quickly, and that's all the time I will take this morning.
Maybe we can ask Mr. Yorks, you're on the line. When we switched and had one container for both metal and plastic, did we just stay with one?
Certainly. What we typically do, sir, is we hit that Monday, Wednesday, and on Friday. Of course, this past weekend, we did not service it Monday because of Memorial Day. But we service it Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. It is getting hit. There's some commercial accounts that are using it as well, and that is one of our offsets to it. We are discussing putting another box up there for plastic and metal.
I would strongly suggest that you do, or you're going to have employees be picking up garbage all over the place because people will start leaving their plastic containers in bags alongside the collection containers. They only have so much patience for that so long.
When you say commercial folks are using it, are they using it when they're not supposed to use it?
No, sir, it's just the quantities
Okay.
that they're hitting us with. We can drop off a brand new empty box and turn our backs to it, and then it gets hit. People bring in commercial stuff that they should be getting a hauler to take care of. But yeah, we've discussed it. We knew that this weekend being 3-day weekend, we knew that today would be definitely a day of cleaning up.
Yes,
It sounds
Mr.
like
York.
it's going on even after
Yeah,
the
yes, but Mr. York, the last 3 out of 4 times I've been there, I've had to walk away because the containers are overflowing. Container is, and you need one more there, and I'm pleading for it. Or you're going to start having a mess with things.
Okay, thank you, John, for bringing it to our attention.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, so at 1.6, we have a proclamation being presented for Jury Appreciation Week. Commissioner Marabito is going to read that.
Proclamation. Declaring Juror Appreciation Week, May 17th to 21st, 2021. Whereas the right to a trial by jury is one of the core values of American citizenship, and the obligation and privilege to serve as a juror are as fundamental to our democracy as the right to vote. And whereas Lycoming County Court of Common Pleas depends upon Lycoming County citizens to serve as jurors, and service by citizens as jurors is indispensable to the local judicial system. And whereas jurors help to ensure fairness, provide sound judgment, and make the best determination for their fellow peers. And whereas in Lycoming County there are approximately 80,000 residents who are eligible to serve as a juror, and whereas in 2019 about 5,300 jurors, and in 2020 a little over 3,200 jurors reported for jury duty. Furthermore, in 2019 almost 900 jurors were selected to serve on 56 juries, and in 2020 over 200 jurors were selected to serve on 17 juries. Whereas Lycoming County Commissioners encourage all Lycoming County citizens to respond when summoned for jury service and fulfill a most important civic responsibility shared by every member of our democracy. And whereas Lycoming County Board of Commissioners ask local employers to recognize jury duty as a civic responsibility and adopt jury service personnel policies, including providing paid leave when employees serve as jurors, in conjunction with supporting employees' right to serve when summoned for jury service. And whereas the Lycoming County Court of Common Pleas, together with the Lycoming County Board of Commissioners, take the time to show our appreciation of the jury system and extend our sincere gratitude and applaud those citizens who have served on jury duty. And therefore be it resolved that the Board of Commissioners of the County of Lycoming declare Juror Appreciation Week during May 17th to the 21st, 2021. Thank you to all those Lycoming County residents who have served as jurors, fulfilling your constitutional responsibility. Lycoming County Commissioners signed Scott L. Metzger, Chairman, Tony R. Macer, Vice Chairman, Richard Marabito, Secretary.
And we have Adrian Stahl, Director of Court Services, and Jen McConnell, Assistant Director of Court Services, with us today. Either one of you like to come up and speak?
Sure.
Thank you both for being here.
Thank you, Commissioners. I'm going to reiterate a few things that Commissioner Marabito may have already said, but jury service is very important, and the reason is a jury trial is a constitutional right, as Commissioner Marabito pointed out. I'm here on behalf of the Lycoming County Courts to thank the citizens of Lycoming County for fulfilling their civic responsibility. We understand that jury service is both a privilege and a burden at times. We try to reduce that burden as much as possible, and that's actually a priority of our office. When I say our office, I court administration. My understanding is that in years past, jurors may have been required to report for multiple days of selection or even a week or more. We've narrowed that down to just one day of jury selection so as not to be too burdensome on the jurors. And with that one day of jury selection, if a juror is selected to sit on a trial, they come back and join us for a trial on a later date during that trial term. And typically, it's just a one-day trial. Occasionally, we might have a week-long trial if it were to involve serious charges such as a homicide. But generally, the juror comes and joins us for one day of selection, or even just a morning or an afternoon, and then comes back and joins us for one day of trial. And then their obligation's complete, unless they're summoned in the future, which could be a year or more later. A common question I hear from jurors is, what list do you use, or why have I been called for service so many times and my family member's never been called? The Administrative Office of Pennsylvania Courts compiles a master list of potential jurors made up of names from several different state departments. For instance, the Department of Revenue, the Department of Human Services, the Department of Transportation, the Department of State. And from that list, we summons approximately 24,000 jurors each year. That was pre-pandemic. We increased that to about 37,500 this year just because of additional pandemic-related excusals that we received. But from that master list that the Administrative Office of Pennsylvania Courts gives us, we have a County Information Services Department that created a software system that kind of shakes up the names and randomly selects those 24,000 names or 37,000 and some this year. And then from that large group of names, the system again randomly selects however many we need for that trial term. So pre-pandemic, we would have summoned approximately 4,800 jurors for a week-long selection period. During the pandemic, we summoned more, about 7,500. So it is a lot of names. We are very liberal in our excusal policy right now during the pandemic, whether people have health concerns or whether they have a financial burden related to the pandemic. So that is one reason for the increase in names. So I just wanted to explain a little bit about the process. So those are a couple of the main questions I get from jurors. We do try to avoid delays as much as possible when jurors are here. Some of that's unavoidable. So there are a lot of things that need to be handled outside of the hearing and sight of the jurors. So the judges work with the attorneys and the litigants, the defendants, before the jurors come into the room. So there's always some delay. Again, we're doing our best to try to reduce the amount of delay. And when possible, we'll just call jurors in for a morning or an afternoon, again, just to reduce that burden on them. But again, I'm just here to thank the citizens of Lycoming County for their willingness to serve. We never have a shortage of jurors, and I hear stories in other counties that do have that issue. Again, we never have that issue, so we do have the ability to have more of a liberal excusal policy, especially during the pandemic.
Okay, Adrian, while you're up here, we're going to keep you up here to continue our informational series on what different departments do and how they service our community. We've asked you to speak on what the Director of Court Administration and your office does for the county.
Actually, Eileen and I had just worked out that I would talk about jury selection,
okay,
and that there would be, because the courts involves so many different things then, I think that different departments were going to come back later.
That's fine.
But as far as the court administration office, obviously jury selection is a big part of our office, but it's only one part. So obviously, like other county departments, court administration handles the budget, all HR matters for the 130-some court employees, a whole host, ADA requests, language access requests, anything and everything. It's the jack of all trades, I would say. But the most interaction we have with the public would be during jury selection. So again, I just wanted to thank the jurors and the citizens of Lycoming County for their willingness to come in, especially during a pandemic. As I mentioned, we've never had a juror shortage, and I hope that continues.
How many trials did we have last year? Last year we had a pandemic. On an average year, what do we usually?
Well, last year we had 2 week-long jury selections where we would normally have 5. We were able to have one in August and October. And as far as trials, I can just think of this trial term, maybe 10 to 15. However, as you're probably familiar, Commissioner, those cases may even resolve after selection and before trial, fortunately or unfortunately, whether it's a plea or null pros or something to that effect.
In our very serious cases, such as murders, how many murders do we have pending?
Oh my gosh, we just had don't quote me, maybe about 8. So we're hoping to have 2 homicide trials scheduled here in the fall to dispose of 2 of those cases, and then it might actually dispose of 3 of them. But and then we'll hope to definitely in 2022 get the others resolved. So that is a priority to do that. And those will be week-long trials and probably a selection just dedicated to that, with some backups scheduled, of course, just in case those cases happen to resolve after we call the jurors in.
Adrian, So it's worth noting for the public that the courts are a separate branch of government. They come to us as equal branches of government. Question for you. The way you described it, the randomness of it, it's like winning the lottery, right? Okay. So people should consider themselves lucky to be chosen. What about voter registration? Constituents will say to me sometimes, well, I'm not going to register to vote because I don't want to be called for jury duty. Can you tell them that there's no relationship between their voter registration and...
No, so the list that AOPC, the Administrative Office of Pennsylvania Courts, compiles, one of that is the Department of State, the names from the Department of State, which are voter registrations.
Okay, so that's...
So it definitely comes into play.
Right, but it'll be thrown in with license registrations from PennDOT.
Department of Human Services.
Human Services. So the reality is that your name's going to wind up in there whether you're registered to vote or not, because if you don't have a license, you might be having something with Human Services, whether you have a something. So, okay.
So the idea is we hopefully get everybody.
Right, that's the goal, right? Well, thank you. That's important.
Thank you.
I think we sometimes, you hear people talk a lot about the First Amendment right to free speech, the Second Amendment right to bear arms. You don't hear them talk about the right to a jury trial. And it's as fundamental as all the other rights. Because at the time that they were written, people weren't getting a jury trial. You got hauled in. Sometimes it was a secret trial where the doors were shut. Public didn't know what was going on. The king's henchmen brought you in. And it's something that we shouldn't take for granted, is what you're telling us.
Yes, correct.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, we had the opportunity, what was it, last week or the week before, to talk to some of the people that were selected for jury duty.
Oh, yeah.
Over in the halls.
I saw you guys, yes.
Yeah. And it's interesting, the one lady, she was selected over 20 times. Yes. And the one next to her was her first, so I had a good sample there. The one comment that was made over there was about what you brought up, that sometimes you select a jury and then they plead. And it was, she says, I don't understand why they do that. Why would you go select a jury? And I kind of know why, although I agree with the juror that there should be a deadline. Once it's picked, it's over, but it's the way the courts work. It is a separate branch, and I think if we could correct that would solve some of the problems anyway.
And unfortunately, that's not something that courts can correct, so we should play only a very limited to any role at all in whether someone pleads guilty or not. So it's really a function of the DA's office, defense counsel, but many things could be going on that we're not aware of. So maybe it's a victim that suddenly doesn't want to testify, and that puts the DA's office in a jeopardized position, or one side decides their case isn't as good as they thought because maybe a victim's not able to be located or a witness isn't able to be located. And unfortunately, we don't have any control over that. So I suppose a judge maybe could make the decision that, well, I'm not going to accept that plea, but then I don't know whose interest that would serve. So maybe it's more of a compromise to go ahead at that point. But yes, I find it extremely frustrating because we spend so much time and effort bringing those jurors in.
No, I don't.
No, you have to come up. They won't be able to hear you.
Yeah. Or see you, who you are.
Yeah. Just add to the new implementation and processes with all the backup cases to help avoid some of that.
Yeah, so I've started playing more of a role, and I would say, I guess, the case management. So one of my goals is that jurors never come in and don't have something to do. So for instance, we have at least one primary case scheduled and then at least 5 or 6 backup cases. The attorneys don't love me for that because they're all required to be here at the time selection starts in case one case is a plea, maybe one waives the right to jury trial. But that doesn't solve the issue that you brought up with what if we've already selected the jury? And I don't have a solution for that right now, but maybe as time goes on, we can, obviously always try to work with the DA's office and the PD's office, and private defense counsel. So we'll continue to try to do that.
Thank you, both of you. When you first came on board, what were the years that you
We've
started?
both been here about 5 years now.
Five.
We're 6.
At the end of this year.
Wow.
In a month, it'll be 6.
Oh, for her, yeah.
But you brought a certain degree of, well, how do I want to put it without offending anybody?
You're doing a great job.
You are doing a
professionalism
great
to it.
job, and things have changed for the better, and we're very fortunate that we have you in those positions.
Thank you. We love our jobs and we love working with the county, quite honestly. Wouldn't change my decision to join the courts or the county.
Adrian, I'll tell you about a story that Judge Ralph had shared with me. Judge Ralph, as many of you know, we miss him dearly. He was a president judge in our county for 20 years. He had shared with me one time about a juror. And this juror was in his late 70s. He was picked. He had come down for a week to serve on jury duty. And Judge Ralph encountered him in the hallway around 3 o'clock on a Friday. And there was no one around because it was snowing. And they had let everybody go early. This juror, he said, "Can I help you?" And he says, "I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to get home." And he said, "Well, I noticed you've been here all week." He goes, "Yeah." He says, I've walked from Jersey Shore every day. Walked down from Jersey Shore and walked back to serve on jury duty because it's my civic responsibility." And Judge Ralph says, "Well, let me be honored to take you home in the snowstorm." So he drove him back up to Jersey Shore.
Wow.
But Judge Ralph never forgot that. He shared it with us and said that's the right mind of a juror.
Mm-hmm.
The gentleman said it was my civic responsibility. Walking every morning, he'd leave at 6 o'clock to walk down here during that week and then walk home to serve on jury duty.
No, it warms my heart when the jurors come up as we're dismissing them and say, "Oh, I really wanted to go into the courtroom," or "I really wanted to get picked. Can I be placed at the top of the list?" And then we have to talk about, no, it needs to be random. And jurors just generally, I think when I first started, they sort of looked miserable. But I see that less and less. I don't know why. Or maybe I'm immune to it. I don't know. But for the most part, they seem, I wouldn't say happy, but at peace with being here to fulfill their duty.
Yeah.
Well, I think even like what we're doing here today is important. It frames for people the context in which they get selected, and that they shouldn't view it as this horrible thing, that they should view it. And you've said you have a liberal policy of trying to accommodate people if they have an emergency, if they're going to be out of town or whatever, so that people don't have to fear being selected for jury duty. They should look at it, as you said, as an opportunity to learn, to grow, and to maybe understand the criminal justice or the civil justice system better. So thank you for doing this.
Thank you.
We have a proclamation like
Let's
to
get a photo.
give.
Let's
Yeah.
get a photo.
We get a photo with you and Jen.
And our deputy coordinator.
Oh, yes, I didn't recognize her with her mask on. Yes. And she's been with us a little less than a year, correct?
Yeah.
Wow, just
Just a couple of months.
Yeah. She's been a terrific addition to your office also.
You don't have to, no, they usually go on the other side.
I feel like.
You never saw it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda, bid openings with Krista Rogers.
Morning, Krista.
Morning. I didn't bring up the
what this is for. It's food, I think.
It's food
Right.
products.
Sorry.
It's bids for food products.
Thank you. We have 3 bidders. Why is that so loud?
Can I go?
Cisco, Central PA, Feasers, and Key Code Distributors. This is a multi-line. We don't have any numbers to read.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay, thank you. Have a good
Yep.
day.
You too.
Yep.
Accounts payable cash requirements report with Brandy Clemens.
Morning, Brittany.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm here to present the cash requirements report for the week of May, oh no, now we're in June. June 3rd, 2021 is when they'll be paid, and their invoices due through June 9th, 2021 in the amount of $420,178.61.
Okay. Any questions?
I do. There was one invoice there, and forgive me, I left it in the cart up there.
Do you want my report?
And it had Hummel Smith, it was a law firm from.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what we're presenting today.
Page 2.
And it was for $6,928 legal services. So is the solicitor on the line right now?
He is, Commissioner Massaro.
Am I allowed to say anything about this invoice? I would think I would be permitted to.
Yes, sir. Obviously, the invoice was in connection with the Commissioner's litigation against the Controller, but you're certainly authorized to say whatever you want about it.
Okay, so we sign a contract with our solicitors, right? We have one solicitor, it's your firm. Correct me if I'm wrong, right?
Yes, sir.
So, she had
Who's she?
signed an agreement, I'm sorry, Krista, the controller, had signed an agreement with a law firm out of Pittsburgh who was representing her. This is another law firm. Can we have multiple solicitors?
Commissioner, that gets into the issue of what is a reasonable expense for the Controller to represent the interests of her office. She is allowed to have, as you know, relative to her employees and staffing, among other things, what is reasonable for her to run her office. And I would suggest to you that her selection of solicitors has to withstand the same scrutiny, if you will. It has to be a reasonable expense. And at this point in time, it's my opinion that you would not question this as an unreasonable expense.
Okay. I guess I have no other further questions.
Okay. I have a motion to accept the accounts payable.
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So carried.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brandy.
Personnel actions with Roxanne Greco.
Morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. In the Department of Public Safety and EMS, we have Howard T. Woodruff, full-time replacement, EMS Regional Training Coordinator, pay grade 7, $36,644.52 annually, effective June 13th, 2021.
Okay, any questions or comments? Hearing none, can I have a motion?
I move to approve personnel action, Reg.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, so carried.
Thank you.
Thank you.
5.0, Maya Toon has an informational item.
Morning, Maya.
Good morning, Commissioners. This is to acknowledge that we're going to be going out to bid for emergency repairs to the Hughesville String Bank Stabilization Project. If you recall, back in 2020, there was a spring event that occurred, high water event. And that, basically, back in 2019, we originally did that project. Well, that caused that stream bank to become destabilized again and slip. So as a result, NRCS went out, did an inspection, engineer inspection, and reported that it needed to be redone. So we have to go back out to get these emergency repairs done, because guaranteed that if there is another event, it will cause further damage. So it is 100% reimbursed by NRCS, no additional cost to the county.
Okay. Thank you. If you please stay at the podium, you have
Yep.
the first two action items.
Yeah, and let me, since we're talking about stream bank stabilization, I think the state really has to get involved with the program. And we talk about using RIP, to protect the stream banks, which we did there as well. I have a cabin on Lycoming Creek, and my neighbor above me put in some RIP. I lost 3 foot of bank in a year and a half. Is it due to that? I'm not sure, but RIP usually has a negative effect on downstream properties. And when you talk about that type of erosion, that's a tremendous amount of sediment being put into our streams and rivers and Chesapeake. Okay? We need to find solutions for that. And I'm not sure if RIP is the answer, because then you'd be doing the whole thing. But nonetheless, removing 3 foot of a bank just in one location is a tremendous amount of sediment. And I think we need to put our minds together and try to find some solutions, like with the log veins, and implement them and get them moving. So.
Well, we can certainly, I can see with the Conservation District, I mean, they're
It'd be a
always
good idea.
involved in that.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, we were working with the Conservation District on our one project up Tioga and Lycoming.
right, you're involved
That
with
seemed to
that.
have
Right.
stalled.
And they're involved on this side of the project too. I'm not sure exactly how, but I guess in the transition with Mark leaving, Mark has always been my point of contact, Davidson, when we worked on this project years ago.
Yeah.
He was the person that I worked with on it, along with the rep from NRCS. But since his departure, planning and myself have kind of taken the lead on getting this all, done.
I think we should be moving this from the back burner to the front burners because of the deadline of 2025. It is significant, and it's a blink of an eye away. These will carry a lot of cost if we don't try to find or implement some solutions that we already know that are working. So.
And unfortunately, we're approaching that time of year where, we have flooding issues, as we move into spring and summer too. So, I know John Lavelle was on the line. I'm not sure if he has any comment or not.
Good morning. This is John Lavelle. I guess I'd like to say, as far as this RFP is concerned, this project will have a rather immediate deadline. I believe once we award the contract, we're looking to complete the project within 45 days. Hopefully that gets us taken care of and stabilized before any sort of late season, late summer, early fall type heavy rain events that we might get.
So John, if we could take pictures of the properties downstream from that, and then take a photo maybe a year or 2 years later and see what kind of effect it had on the properties in front of it and downstream of it. That might help us collect some data that can be useful.
Yeah, and I think the Conservation District might, I believe they have a drone, and I think they did take some pretty interesting pictures before, and yeah, we can capture the same footage again and maybe a little bit farther upstream and downstream just to kind of show the transformation. I know Muncie Creek, especially in this area, has a lot of issues and needs a lot of help, so.
So, John, to Commissioner Masser's point, if a constituent is out there and they feel they've experienced erosion of bank due to someone upstream putting in riprap, who do they contact? Do they contact the Conservation District? Do they contact you at the Planning Department? Who would we tell them to call? As a starting point to sort of...
It really should be the Conservation District.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
would start with them. There's a lot of, I mean, there would be a lot of research that would have to be done on the specific instance, but I mean, yeah, I guess the Conservation District would be the first person to reach out to, or any watershed association that might be in the area, because they'd be familiar with, you know, the history of projects there, and things like that.
Yeah.
And this project, I mean, it does have riprap, but it also has veins that are supposed to be stabilizing features over time, kind of like the log veins. These are rock veins, and they're meant to catch some of that sediment and help build back up the wall, the stream bank, where it has significantly eroded onto the water authority's property. So the hope is over time that there's some, I think it's called accretion of sediment and other materials to kind of naturally strengthen that riprap up and build that side back up.
Thank you.
All right, so we're going to move on to the action items, and Maya Toon has the first two.
The first item I have is to vote on agreement with Ronald Wright for pathology services. This is for the case versus Abdullah Friend. It's for the Public Defender's Office, and it's not to exceed $20,000.
Okay, and it is
A budgeted item.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, I have a motion.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
All fair side?
Aye.
Aye, so carried.
The next item I have for you is the fee agreement with Humber, Lewis and Smith for legal representation for the Lycoming County Controller's Office. This is not a budgeted item. And as you will see, the rate for services are $125 per hour for paralegals and $250 per hour for attorneys. And this kind of goes, you know, Commissioner Sarah, your question, you know, when we first reviewed this contract, we did think that the cost was a little high for that market, for this case in that area, but nothing that would be inappropriate enough to invalidate the contract.
Well, you know, I look at it and say, how many attorneys does one need to fight a case? I mean, this is an O.J. Simpson case. You know, it should be pretty much straightforward. And when does the elected official become responsible for that debt? And that would include us as well. It's, when you start to see $20,000, $30,000 for, we just need a ruling. You know, this is pretty clear cut as far as I'm concerned, whether we win or we lose. And it just seemed unnecessary for me, even though the guy was a pretty good attorney. Maybe she
Just so
select this gentleman.
Just so the public knows, just so the public knows, the case was closed on May 17th. And at that time, the judge stated that there'd be 20 days for briefs and then 10 days follow-up after that. So we should have a decision hopefully sometime here mid to end of June, we anticipate.
Well, it's two separate law firms.
Yes, one's out of Pittsburgh, one's out of Lewisburg.
Right.
Any other questions or discussion? Hearing none, can I have a motion?
I'll move to approve.
I'll say.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, so carried.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you.
6.3 with Beth Baylor, voting on amendment to agreement with Pencor Consulting. Beth, are you on the line?
Hi, good morning, Commissioners. This is Beth from the Department of Public Safety, 911. This is an extension to this is an RFP for Pencor Consulting for survey and engineering for the radio project. It's simply an amendment to extend the end date of that contract. It is a budgeted item, however, there's no cost increase. It was just expiring before the project is completed, so we extended the end date to May 31 of 2022.
Okay. Can I have a motion?
I'll move to approve.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So carried. Thank you, Beth.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Jason Yorks has 6.4 through 6.6. Jason, are you still on the line?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Commissioners, good morning. 6.4, this is the second and hopefully final leachate hauling invoice with Altoona Water Authority in the amount of $23,448.55. This was under the, as you recall last month, we discussed this in an agenda item with emergency item to cover. We do not have a contract with Altoona. We do have funds budgeted each year to handle leachate treatment, but this particular bill is with Altoona Water Authority.
Okay, and I want this to make sure it hits the minutes. Jason, if our leachate tank would have been completed, would we have incurred this cost?
Most likely not that directly, sir.
Okay, so
With the capacity, we would have been able to, I'm surmising we would have been able to handle that amount. We would have had a full tank. Had that tank been available to us to use, we would have had that full tank. We would have just had to then systematically over the next several months pump it down.
okay, but
We would have had it at a much better rate through West Branch and through Great Township.
my point of the matter is that I would assume that the cost of our hauling the leachate to Altoona should be included in the lawsuit.
Yeah, we have a cumulative amount that's running while we're unable to make use of the tank, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
And Jason, going forward, this could happen again, correct?
Yes, sir. I've lost you.
This could also happen again.
Yeah.
Until the tank's resolved.
Until the tank is completed, yes, we
Yeah.
can always incur. I mean, we are making other efforts here on site to try to mitigate any surface water in the facility. We are now completed with the Great Township 6-inch force main, so we'll be able to start making use of that. But yes, there's always that opportunity until we get the tank online.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner? Can I have a motion?
I'll move to approve.
A second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, so carried.
Thank you. Commissioners, 6.5 is of the same issue, only this is for the amount of $27,389.03. This is through Kelly Township Municipal Authority, where we also truck leachate. This is their price that we're being charged to treat the leachate we took to Kelly Township.
Is it fair to say that all the statements that you and Commissioner Messere exchanged would be true with this too?
Correct, sir.
Did the contract expire with Kelly?
No, sir. We did not have a contract with them. We have Solicitor Wiley working on a contract currently so that we can have that in Altoona just as a backup.
Okay. Any further discussion? No motion?
I'll move to approve.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye, so carried.
Commissioners, item 6.6, this is a 2021 budgeted item, capital purchase. This is a purchase of a Kleeman rock crusher from Wood Getchen, America, the amount of $629,500. As you had the opportunity to see it last Thursday when you come over to visit, we did a demonstration with it. It is an excellent machine. It's handled the shale and the rock that we use over here that we crush. The servicing the output of the rock and everything. It's everything that our old machine was and then some. So very proud of the staff that took time to demonstrate this with us, and looking forward to using this machine. This is a breath of fresh air. We've been for the last year trying to locate a rock crusher that we felt confident to bring forward to you for purchase. We finally feel that we've located one.
And the old one was what, 2010 you had said?
Correct, sir.
And last year you put $35,000 into just fixing one part to it?
Yes, and right now this year it needs $70,000 worth of work before we could use it. It's broke down right now.
I guess my question is, when I'm looking at the invoice, the numbers aren't the same.
The Commissioner, the $629,500 that's on the agenda, that is including the automatic greasing system. I just noticed that myself. We will not be probably purchasing the automatic greaser system, but it is in the agenda. It is the amount. I don't foresee it becoming a full amount, but at this time, I made the judgment call of letting it $629,500. There won't be any shipping costs because the machine's already here. But right now, we've discussed this morning, we're going to be pulling the price of the automatic greasing system off.
And that's why it would be, bring it down to 623.
Correct.
Instead of the 634.
What made you decide to pull the automatic greasing off?
Well, sir, our guys already do a servicing. We have automatic grease, a lot of our equipment. This particular machine, it needs to have a walk around every morning. It requires a 50-hour greasing. We did a walk around with it 2 weeks ago with the companies, the vendor reps, and every 50 hours you need to service it anyways. The big difference between our old machine and this machine is the old machine ran a very large Caterpillar engine. You have a lot of fuel usage. You have a lot of other issues with it. This new machine only runs a 50-horse engine, and everything runs a generator, and it's electric. All the motors are electric, so there's a lot less servicing. So that's why, after talking with the vendor rep, we didn't think the automatic greaser was necessary, because my staff's going to be going around it every day anyways to service it, just to open the doors, check everything, and then start it up and run.
Okay. Okay, any further questions or discussion?
It's an amazing job you guys are doing over there. It's incredible how that Field 12 is going along and how high Field 11 got.
Just in
It's
6
unbelievable.
months.
Unbelievable.
It's incredible.
Thank you, Commissioners. I look forward to seeing you this week if you have the opportunity.
Jason, can you elaborate on whether there be any tours for the public anybody wants to go over in the future?
Yes, Commissioner, we are open. Most of the tours that we do offer seem to always be schools, institutions, and now that they're coming back online, I would look for us to start having requests come in. We enjoy doing tours. My staff seems that we're very proud of this institution, this facility. We love to show it off. Anybody that wants to come over for a tour at any time, they're more than welcome to. We allow anybody, if they wish to wear a mask, they can. Most of our staff, after today, most of us are vaccinated, and we definitely can wear masks. And if somebody wishes they want to wear a mask, they can ask to see any specific site of the facility. They're more than welcome to. We can always drive in separate vehicles. When DEP comes now, every month for their inspections, we still stay in separate vehicles per the state. So we're open to whatever. We'll work with anybody and what their special needs are.
Okay.
So at any time they can come and send us a request.
Great.
Or email or anything.
We have 3 members of the news media with us today. If they would contact you if they wanted to do a story, Would you be inviting, open to that?
Absolutely,
Great.
at any time.
Okay.
We just did a couple recently, so yeah, we're an open book, sir. More than glad to show off the staff and the facilities.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, can I have a motion?
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, so carried. Thank you, Jason.
Commissioners, thank you very much. And also, as a side note, there will be an additional plastic box at Jersey Shore site probably within the hour.
That's great.
Great, that's
Thank
good news.
you.
Thank you.
And by the way,
Yes,
just
take
to
care.
add a postscript to that last 600, that's coming out of revenues from the landfill, so
Yes.
the public should know that.
It is a budgeted item.
Yep.
Yep,
Not-
thank you.
Not tax dollars.
Okay.
6.7, Jerry Kennedy, voting on Scan Pro Equipment Service Agreement.
Morning, Jerry.
Morning, Commissioners. Jerry Kennedy, Director of Information Services. Before you this morning is an approval for maintenance agreement on our microfilm readers that are in use in the Register Recorder's office, as well as the Prothonotary office. This gives the public access to historical information that has not been digitized. This is a 3-year deal at $10,740, and it is 2021 budgeted funds.
Okay. And these are, this is something that's definitely needed in those offices that will modernize it, bring it up with its current times.
These are existing pieces. This is just to the service, in case something should happen. They are very expensive machines.
Yeah.
We put, somebody wants one of these, it's about, with the PC, $12,000 per seat. So for $895, we're getting service. We pick up the phone if there's a problem, they come in and service it and make it serviceable again.
Great, thank you.
So that 10,740 is for
4 machines over 3 years.
4 machines for 3 years.
Any questions? Motion?
I'll move to approve.
A second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So carried. Thank you, Jerry.
Commissioner comments?
Any comments? Nothing? None?
No public comments here.
Nothing on the computer? Anyone in the audience? Okay. Our meeting will be adjourned. Our next meeting will be on Tuesday, June the 8th, here at 10 a.m. Thank you, everybody. Have a good day, good week.
On 6.3, is that a tower site?